Reddit is a platform that somehow manages to be the greatest source for first-hand information from somewhat reliable individuals, and also home to some of the most pedantic and power-drunk autists you've ever had the displeasure of interacting with. Hello and welcome back to Indifferent Take. Today, I'm attempting to make sense of the complex and often contradicting feelings I have towards the social media platform that is Reddit. You know, there was once a time where if you'd asked me what my thoughts were on Reddit, I would have told you grand tales of an online symposium containing the most powerful and creative minds of the 21st century. A place where discourse was not only encouraged, but celebrated, where quote-unquote free thinkers could go and stretch their legs, free from the shackles of complicity and ignorance. And then I started to use Reddit for about 2 months and was disillusioned pretty much immediately. Reddit, like most social media platforms, is not immune to the echo chamber effect. If anything, Reddit pioneered echo chambers with subreddits. You would think subreddits would be the natural evolution of forums and blogs. For all you youngsters, before we had Discord and social media, as we know it now, we had dedicated websites for specific problems, discourse, and interests, like Newgrounds, Ask Jeeves, and Metafilter. And while most, if not all of these still see traffic today, it's not nearly to the effect of what came before. Before the slop era, largely brought about by sites like TikTok and Instagram, topic for another video, we had people with real passions and problems, not constrained by stupid shit like sub-rules, community guidelines, and auto-moderators. Look, I'm sure the things I've listed are mostly symptoms of a much larger societal problem, but I'm not Carl Jung, and I'm not here to talk about larger societal problems. Not yet anyways. I'm here to talk about why Reddit and many sites like it are directly responsible for adding to the hot steaming pile of content slop that we call the modern internet. I'm going to start off by saying that while community guidelines served a good initial purpose of making sure communities were never taken too far off track from what they were made for, nowadays they serve as little more than another way for Reddit mods to abuse what little power they've been vested by other power-horny Reddit mods. Most of the time, rules will start off fairly reasonably, no slurs, stay on topic, no theft, etc. But almost as if written in the stars, there will be another one or two very vague RNG-based rules that will make or break your community experience. Entire software subs with rules like no ranting. What does that mean? No, seriously, what is that supposed to mean? You're telling me there's no yapping on the Software Yappers of America subreddit? Who made that dumbass rule? If it's not about staying on topic, and it's not a repost, what are we actually doing here? And it's not just these types of subreddits. Sometimes you'll even go on fan-based subreddits for games and shows where they have rules like no low-effort content. And I think that has to be one of the most egregious and disheartening rules to come across when community surfing on Reddit. And the reason I feel this way is probably because it shares a lot of the issues I had with the previous rule. I stated that it's so vague that the only way to reliably enforce it is via coin flip. Some of these tyrants have even gone as far as limiting memes to 1 day a week, or banning them entirely like a dry county for fun. Also, what kind of Gen X corporate slop team building ass shit is Meme Monday? Meme Monday is something that should only exist in places like LinkedIn. At this point, just become a Wikipedia mod if you don't like seeing memes. And this gets to the heart of what's wrong with these community rules. Entire discourses and ideas completely kneecapped by the whims of one out-of-control chud. It's like every subreddit these days is run by Miss Trunchbull and Dolores Umbridge. When did schizo ranting and shitposting become so vilified? To get rid of those things would be to eliminate the very essence of what makes platforms like Reddit so great in the first place. Some of the best stories have come from people just bullshitting. A few examples being the cylinder guy, the heroin dude, and this guy, of course. And while I understand there are communities specifically tailored for stories like that, we should still be allowing these stories and shitposts and schizo rants to be spread among more platforms as long as it's relevant. It's nearly impossible to make a post with some of these rules. If it's not an auto mod rejecting you, it'll be a day later and something completely random will come up that sits within one of these vague rules. I'm completely sick of it. Now let's say you do, against all odds, manage to get a post to stick on the subreddit of your choosing. You've made it through the auto tyrants and the pedantic guidelines. All that stands between you and sweet, sweet satisfaction is the most heinous villain of all, the average Redditor. Yes, that's right. Newsflash. Redditors are annoying. The big twist I'm sure you were all on the edge of your seats for. Now, while there are many unique and awful genres of Redditors, I believe they could be distilled down to 3 distinct subsets. We have our comedians, our contrarians, and the normies. Let's begin with the normies. Normies are pretty much what they sound like. Average people who go on Reddit for specific answers to questions and memes surrounding their special interests. Although it may not seem like it, this group makes up the heft of average Reddit users, as well as their base statistics. Just trust me for this part, bro. Anyways, these users are going to comprise about 60% of the average comment traffic and Am I the Asshole posts. They're the people most likely to get downvoted into oblivion for asking an average question or making an inane statement. These people make up the strong skeleton of the life form that is the snoo we come to recognize as the Reddit community, the greater Reddit community. And although the other two groups will never admit it, the platform just wouldn't be the same without them. Alright, next up, we have our comedians. And right now I can hear you thinking, but Indy, I like jokes. And while I can say that I enjoy my fair share of good yucks from time to time, maybe a joke here or there, even I understand that there is a time and a place for all things, which is why I can't help but let the secondhand embarrassment wash all over me when I see someone gesture maxing on a serious Reddit thread, which goes against what I was saying earlier. But I have a further point to make. When I say serious, I'm talking like r/medical advice serious. These degenerates really have no shame. If you're wondering how I know this, it's because not long ago I actually made a post on r/medical advice talking about a recent surgery I had. And would you believe I had to sift through about 5 clowns before a real adult came in and gave me the answer I was looking for? This is just an example of what I had to deal with. I would honestly have less smoke for the comedians if every comment section didn't just look like this. We're losing rest of peace, man. Alright, now moving on to our last and debatably least, we have our contrarian camp. And honestly, what can I say about these guys that hasn't been said already? The Reddit subtype so infamous and widely criticized that the word Redditor is now a slur predominantly used for people who love to smell their own farts. The contrarian can be found anywhere that will take them, no matter how inappropriate, unconventional, or just annoying their presence may be. You can bet your sweet bippy that a contrarian will be there at the front lines trying to make sure everyone knows that they are, in fact, the smartest person in the room, or the biggest asshole. It's not mutually exclusive. If you can't tell already, this is my least favorite subtype of Redditor. And it doesn't stem so much from what they're doing on an objective level, but more so the intent behind it and what it conveys about the Redditor themselves. Now, this channel dabbles in its fair share of criticism and contrarian activities and takes. I'm not making a case against critique itself. What I don't like is the elitist aspect that a lot of people seem to hold when making chud-like Reddit comments these days. And it's not just Reddit, it's Twitter, but we're not talking about Twitter right now. How does the old saying go? Sometimes it's not what you said, it's how you said it. And when you correct a stranger while talking down to them, it doesn't make you look like a genius, it makes you look like a dickhead. So cut that shit out and be a little nicer to people. Yeah, so that's gonna pretty much call it for my rant today. This is a short video right before the next timeless banger. I know that people are arguing and joking about being NPCs on the internet isn't novel by any stretch of the imagination, but it just feels more prevalent than usual lately. And maybe I'm just more sensitive to it than other people are. Who knows? Whether it means I'm getting old, the CIA is working double overtime, or that I'm just being a weenie hut general. I'm not too sure. Maybe it's a combination of those things. But what I do know is that I would like to see a change someday. Maybe someday soon. Feels like we're in that kind of era right now. Feels like we're at that point in history right now. Anyways, as always, thank you for catching up on another Indifferent Take rant. Have a great day, and don't you dare go hollow. Alright, peace.